I am a school counselor, LPC intern. I have 2 boys, an 18-year-old and a 17-year-old, and I am married to Mr. Stephen Saunders. He is the best thing since sliced bread. The milk in my coffee, that's just to me. I don't know, this is my thing.
I laid it on thick.
So, I wanted to introduce or talk about a concept that I had, and it was actually birthed from a night out with good friends over Mott's Pizza. I mean, you can't go wrong with that combination. And so we were just kind of giving each other the spiel of how we met our spouse or our fiance and how we knew that they were the one. And so during the conversation, I felt the Holy Spirit nudging at me and saying, hey, this could be something that could potentially, you could be onto something. So I went over it with them at the table. They were super excited about it, and that was like confirmation when you have like-minded individuals. Sure. And they are, supporting you. And so I'm always looking for ways or talking about what I could do to help with marriages. And so I just thought, hey, how did I know there could be a great dialogue for married couples or for maybe individuals who are in relationships and that are contemplating marriages, or for even marriages that are, the thrill is gone. So this could be that reminder of, either stay together or why'd you even get married, or, So before I even get into it, I did some research on the numbers, and I saw that 42 to 45% of marriages end in divorce. And then 60% of second marriages also end in divorce. And then 73% of third marriages end in divorce. That is crazy.
That's right.
It wasn't meant to be that way. God didn't intend for marriages to go the way that they're going. And so these numbers don't even include legal separation. So as a child who was a statistic of divorce, I can truly say that I've been on both sides of this. Like, I know what divorce can do to everyone involved in marriage. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, everyone in the family.
Sure.
And so this platform is going to be something that's going to be here to uplift marriages, or even those couples that I mentioned earlier. And so the people or individuals that will be on this platform, they're not perfect, but what we're individuals who are working together. We are intentional and committed, and we're in the long haul for this thing we call marriage. Because, this is a war we're in. Marriages are at war from the enemy, and we're going to take it back. We're taking it all back.
Amen.
So let's get into it, Mr. Saunders.
Okay.
Let's see. How did we meet? Tell the people. How did we meet?
Tell the people. All right, well, we met at church. That's where we met a good 20 years ago, actually. Yeah, 20 years.
And whenever I tell people that, I met my husband at church. Oh, you got you a church boy. You know them. All church boys not good.
That's true.
The girls are not that good either, but I'm just saying, just because you in church, don't.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you can meet some good ones. I got a good one.
I like that. I like how you played that.
Mm-hmm. Have to spin it back.
Okay.
So, how did you know that I was the one? How did you know? What did I do? What did I say?
Well, like I said, we met at church, and so me being a church musician, there's always been certain qualities that I was looking for in a maiden. For one, being able to sing, and so she was in the choir and saw her up there, and that caught my attention because I called her out to do a solo. I said, let me see if this little alto can handle this song, and she was able to do it. So that definitely caught my attention. But what was the question?
How did you know?
How did I know? Okay, so that was my pre-workout, but I'm still scoping things out. Then after us being friends for about a year, and we started dating, we had a couple of instances where we could, really have good heartfelt conversations and talking about your interests and your desires. And the one thing that always stood out for me initially was that you had a strong sense of purpose in what you wanted to do. Like when you first came out of college, you went directly into grad school. That very next semester, you didn't take no break off. Most people that do 2 or 3. You said, no, I've got something I'm trying to, get achieved. And you being involved in, especially with your school, with your kids, and having like youth, what were they called? The after school activities you would do with them, and
Plays and
the plays and dramas. That's what I'm looking for. That really caught my attention. Like, I like that she, wants to get involved, and so that's how I started to know.
Well, for me, I have to say that I know there was a time that we went on a date, and I know you said I need to make a stop first, and so we went to, I think it was a Wendys, or I think it was a Wendys. So we stopped at Wendys, and I was kind of looking like,
it wasn't our date.
No shade to Wendys, but
maybe
I was just like,
Jack in the Box 2, was it 99-cent tacos? Now that might have been a date.
I don't know what it was, but I was just hoping that this was not going to be where we was going to live. So he got one meal, and I knew that wasn't for us because I like to eat, and I know we wasn't sharing that. So I was like, okay,
you gotta save money.
This can't be for us, and I hope he not cheap like this. But so we got the meal, but then he went under the freeway and you gave it to a homeless man. And so I was like, okay, he got some heart. But is this some game? Because sometimes they'll do things to impress us, to wheel us in.
Is that what we do?
So sometimes. So, but then another time we went, it was Christmas, and I know we were going to exchange gifts. You came over to pick me up, and before we exchanged our gifts, you said, hey, I want to go and do something first. And so you wanted to volunteer. And so I was kind of getting a little teary-eyed, but I was thinking, he's trying to do something here. Like I was feeling something. And then what just put all the icing on the cake was, okay, so my dad, he suffered from substance abuse and alcoholism and all of that. So he died from an overdose. And Stephen knew that, his drug history, and he knew, some different things about what went on in my family. And my dad was in the hospital, and because he was on dialysis, and he had called me to go and do some things for him, get some things out of his apartment. So I asked Stephen to come with me, and first of all, the side of town was horrible. It was bad, it was dangerous, and then his place was just, I was embarrassed when we walked in. But nevertheless, looked over at Stephen. He didn't look crazy. He didn't, feel like this was below him or beneath him. He didn't judge me. He handled the task. He did whatever it was that my dad needed to be done. And he was still with me. And I just felt like you took it like you handled it. And so I think that let me know that, I was going to be able to be with a person that could, handle any kind of situation, and I wouldn't feel any kind of way,
Mm-hmm.
So that was it for me. How long have we been married?
I know how long we've been married. 18 years and 2 months.
Count it up, you saw that?
I'm getting the months in there. That must count for something.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta check because they don't always remember. I don't know. Especially when you start getting up in them years. So what would you say? Would you say that marriage is what you expected it to be?
Yeah, I would say that because I had the perfect model laid out for me with my parents. They were, inseparable up until the day my father passed. And I had my father had 7 brothers and 3 sisters, all of them still happily married. And so I had a perfect model to follow and how to live out that life and living it together and having purpose in that within the institution of marriage that God created. So it was almost second nature for me.
So for me, I feel like our marriage exceeded my expectation. So growing up, I didn't have a good view of marriage, but in my room, I would watch the Cosby Show, and I was like, this is what it's supposed to be like. Then I would see movies, and I was like, this is what you're supposed to come home, and everything is perfect and beautiful. That was my expectation. It wasn't realistic. But when I got married, and sometimes conflict arise or whatever, and being married to you, you helped me to handle or to kind of see what conflict, how it was supposed to be handled and dealt with. And so it was, you exceeded it. You helped to exceed it because you were there with me and helping me to fight for our marriage. So.
Okay.
Let's see.
Do I get to ask some questions?
Oh, go right ahead.
I'll go with the question. Oh, you already asked that one. What's the best thing about your marriage?
The best thing about my marriage is that it is a partnership. We in this thing together. We working together.
Okay.
And so we like a dynamic duo, like where I lack, you pick up, or we just make each other better in everything. And so I like that. And again, that at the end of the day, we're fighting for our marriage. How about you?
That's good. That's good. Best thing about our marriage. I think it goes back to what you said earlier and how we handle conflict. That you're willing to, address conflict as it happens, and you have to be that way with a marriage, because there's conflict even within yourself. I mean, at least for me, some days I can't stand some of the stuff that I'm like, why did you, I argue within myself. So it's going to happen with a mate, but how you choose to do that, it really matters. You got to be conscious about how to address it, and be willing to address it. For one, because some people, they'll just go to their jobs and use that as a way to avoid. But you know what, they can't avoid it now. I mean, everybody's at home, so you got to
deal with it now. You in that thing.
Yes, so you might as well find a creative way to communicate and resolve those conflict issues. So that's what I like about our marriage.
You like the fact that and it's hard sometimes, y'all. So we, and I don't know if I said it earlier. Nobody's perfect in this dialogue, because sometimes it is hard to deal with conflict. But guess what? Sometimes some of the best conversations are those hard ones. That is true. If you don't deal with them, that rug is going to get higher and higher, and soon you're going to be tripping all over that thing.
Yep.
Let's see. What would you give as a nugget to other married couples? You have any nuggets? I mean, we have a lot that we're going to disperse, but let's just give a couple right now that have worked for us. Not necessarily know if it's going to work for them, or just some words that we can encourage the people with.
Well, to go back to the issue of dealing with conflict, I think the nugget that worked for us early on was bringing those situations up in happy moments. Not bringing it up in a situation where, well, since you said such, no, that never works.
So since you're talking about what I did this morning, how about what? You talking about like that?
Yeah, that kind of stuff made me nervous. No. But no, in happy moments, like when we're sitting watching a movie and we're laughing about something, and you just bring up, hey, I didn't really like the way we handled that thing, with our son the other day, on how you said he could do such, but I said that I really wanted, That's the
so like if we all snugged up on the couch watching Love Jones or something, and But then you say, you know
Love
what?
Jones.
Let me put this on pause real quick.
Yeah.
You know what I want to just say? You know, yesterday when you said that about our son, and I said this. I mean, I wasn't trying to say it that way, but I kind of felt like you were taking it that way.
Put some sweet on it. Some sweet on it.
Kind of caress it a little bit. Yeah.
Sweet on it.
So,
That's good.
yeah, a nugget I think for me is, and I learned this later on. I didn't learn it at the beginning because I wasn't there. I wasn't mature enough for that one. But I'll say grace, extending grace to your spouse. I mean, as Christians, grace is extended to us all the time.
Every day.
And if you don't extend it to your partner, like, I don't understand what you're doing.
That's true.
I don't understand
That's
what you're
we're called to do.
Because we are all imperfect, and we are striving every day to be like our Creator. And so we have to give each other grace. We have to, y'all. And so speaking of grace, I am going to read our marriage quote of the day. The greatest marriages are built on teamwork, a mutual respect, a healthy dose of admiration, and a never-ending portion of love and grace. This is from Fawn Weaver. She's a bad chick, y'all. Look her up. But I think that quote sums it all up. And so that's going to complete this segment for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Wasn't that bad? Thank you guys for tuning in. Please press the like button, subscribe, share it, send it to someone else. You know, it might encourage, and because again, we are fighting for our marriages and we are taking them back. And so we will see you guys next time. And this is How Did You Know?